Ms. Wong, what are your general thoughts about the Singaporean female working professional, their emotional health, and work stress and anxiety?
Well, I think today the modern Singapore woman does face a lot of stress in professional life as well as personal and family life, because even though we've got equality of the sexes, well, more or less, unfortunately the burden of looking after the family still tends to fall on the woman. Looking after the kids and all that, the woman does perhaps play a much bigger role than the husband. So all those things add up to the stress factor, having to juggle work and family life. And at the same time, because the cost of living in Singapore has gone up a lot and salaries aren't keeping pace, so there's the added financial stress on both personal lives as well as on families.
How do you think the recent economic crisis has impacted on their working lives and their emotional health?
Well, it's difficult to say, I guess. It's difficult to generalize, the impact of the economic recession, because you have to look at what sectors the women are working in. And obviously for women who have been retrenched, and especially if their family relies on the double income of both husband and wife, and that can cause a lot of stress. Particularly as I think a lot of Singaporeans have committed or overcommitted to buying their flats, and making repayments on housing loans and things like that can be extremely stressful. And for the women who are in more lower paying jobs, factory operators and so on, if their shift hours have been cut, their take home pay is less, and if they're looking after kids and having to send them to school, that's also very difficult.
What about the female working professionals? Do you think they actually would have a different kind of stress as opposed to the other working professionals?
Um, it depends. I think it also depends on the age, and the level of responsibility of the woman in their professions. Obviously, for women who are in managerial positions or holding leadership positions, and if they have a family to look after, then that's difficult, because then you are always kind of struggling against time limitations. You only have so many hours in a day, and you have so many things you need to finish in one day, and that becomes extremely stressful. Taking on the responsibility for a company, for your workers, and then for your family and maybe your aging parents, that can be very stressful.
Do you think then that there are differences in ways Singaporean women and Singaporean men deal with stress and anxiety in their professional working lives?
Mm, um, I am not sure what exactly is the difference, but I guess based on what one reads, you can maybe guess that maybe women are perhaps more likely to seek help than men are. Maybe women are more likely to identify a problem in their lives and then to actually seek help for that. Also, women tend to confide more in their friends, and that is an outlet for relieving stress. When you can confide your problems to your friends, or ask your friends for advice, or ask your friends to share their experiences, that really helps. Whereas men tend not to talk about their emotional side so much, and perhaps that adds to their stress. Yeah.
In your personal opinion, do you recommend that women who face high stress in their work seek medical help to deal with it?
I think only if there is a problem, because um, each person has a different capacity for dealing with problems, and some, of course, certainly if the stress is getting to the point where it's manifested in physical symptoms, then yes, you should seek help. If your hair is starting to fall out, or you've lost your appetite, you can't sleep, and then or you're feeling depressed, or it's making you feel depressed, then you should certainly try and seek help.
Ms. Wong, I see that you're working as a nominated Member of Parliament, the Artistic Co-Director of the Substation, Singapore's first independent multidisciplinary arts centre, and as the Vice President of Madalena Singapore, a group of arts practitioners promoting learning and networking amongst women in creative arts. With this many portfolios to juggle, what kinds of stress and anxiety do you face in your everyday work life?
For me, it's really about having so many things to do and only 24 hours in a day. That's really tough. So kind of learning how to prioritize, I think that's important, because for instance, I've actually stepped back from a lot of the projects and the work in Magdalena, Singapore, and I already indicated that to the society last year. In fact, after we finished a major project, and I said, look, we've done this big thing, and I just need to step back and not be involved for a while. So having to be kind of frank with people you work with and explaining to them your the limitations of time, or even your mental space. I think that's very important. I think one thing that we don't pay enough attention to is the kind of the mental space you have for the work, because a lot of work is actually thinking work. It's not just doing something. Do something, you can take things off a list and finish it, or carry it over the next day and finish it then. But in terms of thinking space, sometimes I find that the mind does get very tired and needs rest, and sometimes you just need to kind of program into your own schedule little breaks when you are just relaxed. You're not taking on any work, you are just relaxed and your mind is at rest.
So, personally, how do you deal with this kinds of stress and anxiety? Do you have any recreational activities you engage in order to de-stress?
Actually, I try to make time for the things I enjoy. So I think having a hobby is very good. I swim, so that's a great way for me to relax. And then hanging out with friends also, that's very nice, because you've known each other for a long time and you can just be yourself and just relax among them. And I've discovered also that having short breaks every now and then, go to Malaysia for a weekend or something, it's also pretty good, because sometimes when you're in Singapore, your mind cannot let go of the work, but it's when you leave the country and you've got your passport stamped, then you feel, okay, I can leave my work behind. So for me, those little breaks are very refreshing.
Have you approached any counsellors or doctors to deal with your work stress and anxiety? Do you intend to do so at all? Why or why not?
No, because I don't have any health problems related to work stress, and I think I'm still a fairly happy person, and I don't see any problems. It's just that, it is stress. It happens to all of us. It happens in our line of work, because in the arts you're always fighting fires, so you get used to it. So no, I don't see anybody, but I do have a very good friend who actually is a trained psychotherapist. So every so often, if I hit some kind of roadblock, sometimes I would call him or email and just check my response or ask for advice.
For our last question, Ms. Wong, do you have any advice to give to women entering the professional life, and as well as advice for our viewers and readers of our blog, InPinkHealth, about work and their emotional health?
Well, everybody's talking about work-life balance these days, and I think that's important, but unfortunately in Singapore, I think very often things are not within the individual's control, because some companies, they just make you work long hours, come back on weekends, etc., etc. So in those situations, it gets very difficult. So I would say try and keep an open and a calm mind. If you find that you are waking up miserable, you're going home from work miserable, then take a step back and examine yourself and see, is this where you really want to be? If it's not where you want to be, you might think about changing profession or changing your work, or talking to somebody about it. And and if it manifests itself in health problems, or you get emotional mood swings, yes, please talk to somebody about it.
Thank you, Ms. Wong.
Thank you.